Rewind-A-Dynamite from the post-wrestling site. AEW, lighting up the fuse. Sit back and enjoy the bubbly as we hear from John and Wai-Ting. Where we're going, we don't need roads. And if the buck stops here, this thing might blow. Everything you hear are opinions of the show. And if you don't like it, go to the forums and let them know. Let them know.
Hello, everybody. It's John Pollock and Wai-Ting here with you on Nate Milton Day.
6 out of 10. Yes.
You got it. Very good.
Oh, very good. No, this should really be Nate Milton Day. Yes.
Every day is Nate Milton Day.
Yeah.
How are you, Wai?
You know, I'm doing just fine. Thank you very much, John, for 45 minutes of always enlightening discussion. What did we talk about?
Oh, let's go back. I forgot everything. We talked about
a lot about Janelle Grant. Janelle Grant today on her social media account on Instagram posted a lot from the depositions on, recently from, several board members of the WWE speaking specifically about the emails that were sent anonymously, the ones that sort of instigated all of this in the first place. So a lot of discussion about the latest on that particular story.
And denying her knowledge of whoever this anonymous sender was. This was not somebody that Janelle Grant is aware of, and not a case of like Janelle Grant. But this person presented themselves as a friend of Janelle Grant, and she is claiming she does not know this person. Mm-hmm. So this was not orchestrated by Janelle Grant from her perspective.
We talked a lot about NXT and whether or not you will choose to pronounce it Naraku or Naraku, which is how we'll
do a poll.
Okay. And New Japan Dominion, always interesting to talk about. Probably like maybe at least it's third biggest show, if not second biggest show of their calendar year. Sort of their SummerSlam coming.
What? This one's on TV Asahi. Like this is definitely number 2 so far this year. Could end up number 2 of the year.
And of course, a lot about UFC Freedom 250, the big show happening this weekend. That will offer a lot to talk about. Regardless of result.
Certainly true. I mean, it is going to have a lot of attention this weekend. It's already had a ton of attention leading up to Sunday. So yes, we will be, we chatted about that, and we're also going to be doing coverage of that show this coming Monday on the Café. Neil Flanagan and Jack Wannon will be with me as we navigate UFC Freedom 250.
Mm-hmm. Looking forward to it.
How are you otherwise? Holy moly. It is, dude, the Knicks were getting spanked tonight, and now it's 105-104 for the Knicks with 38 seconds left.
Yeah. I would be compelled to actually let the game play out just to give our
reactions.
This
could be 10 minutes that they play out these 38 seconds.
It'd be like a half hour before the game actually
dude, the Spurs were killing them. They doubled their points in the first quarter.
Okay. So regardless, I mean, as it relates to tonight's edition of Dynamite, this rating will probably be killed.
I think Dynamite is going to get spanked by this game. They did 22 million viewers for the game on Monday night. And I think I think part of that too, I think you had the Trump factor on Monday attending the game. So there was a lot of focus on that game, but this whole series is real big. And if the series is going to continue and goes then till Saturday, then Tuesday. And if it goes to game 7 isn't until next Friday. So man, they have a lot of gaps here between games.
Probably not going to go.
But UFC will avoid them.
Well, nice of that to work out.
Yeah, perfect. All right. What's coming up, Wai, on Thursday? What are we doing?
Thursday is our latest edition of ASK-A-WAI, which it always feels like it's been forever since we've done one of these, but I think it has. We have a lot of questions to get through from our patrons, and again, we welcome everybody who may have recently joined us after our open house. It is your chance, if you're a part of the Patreon side of the Post Wrestling Cafe, to log in at forum.postwrestling.com to get your questions in for John and I to answer or to simply talk about. We will pretty much field any topic that is brought up in this very large thread. These usually go like at least an hour and a half, sometimes even 2 hours, and they span topics really all across the board, from maybe just our own personal lives to just our thoughts on professional wrestling. So look forward to that in the Post Wrestling Cafe feed tomorrow.
On to tonight's edition of Summer Blockbuster. And it was, I mean, rarely do TV schedules ever get me excited, but the last couple of days, I kept checking back. The TBS schedule was listing this programming block for 3 hours. But today, I was kind of curious. I was seeing like all the images, or the graphics that AEW, like they never mentioned 3 hours on Collision. They never promoted it on any of these graphics. And so this morning I go and check, and it's back to a 2-hour block. And that is, in fact, what we got here. So I think this was just an error on the schedule. Saturday is still listed for 2.5 hours on the TNT schedule, but I don't know. I don't know how reliable.
They didn't promote that either. So
no, they didn't mention that either. I don't know if you would go out of your way to promote 2.5 hours. I mean, this show was almost 2.5 hours. Yeah,
sure. Yeah, just an on time period. So I would assume 2 hours. Who knows what accounts for the scheduling? Yeah,
probably. So we got the regular length Dynamite tonight. Cincinnati, they had a 1,266. This is a building that can hold, I believe, around 1,900. They ran Dynamite here last August and did 1,418. They got them by the main event, but I thought this was, there were some challenging reactions throughout the night, I thought.
I mean, I suppose, like, I wouldn't necessarily call it a bad crowd, but in comparison to maybe some of the crowds we've been seeing, especially internationally lately, yeah, sure, this paled in comparison, yeah.
Shivani brings out Tommaso Ciampa, and Shivani is forced once again to say Ciampa is better than Jericho, but right as he's being threatened by Ciampa, Jericho makes his return, and Jericho comes out, and Ciampa tries to cut off Judas, and Jericho says they got off on the wrong foot. And he reintroduces himself and calls him Tommy. And it leads to a chant of Tommy.
Yeah.
I shut off the show at this point. So do you want to take it from here? He says...
that wasn't the last chant.
No. He says Tommaso isn't marketable and a bit pretentious. And Ciampa, our psycho killer, responds, even my mother doesn't call me Tommy. And Jericho says, you mean Tommy's mommy? And the crowd starts chanting, Tommy's mommy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think
well, usually I would say, like, okay, if you can get the crowd to chant it, like, that's a sign of success. I don't know if I would use that qualifier in this case. I feel like it's more of a...
I turned on this crowd after they started.
More of a slight on Cincinnati. That they would go along with this anyway.
Oh, I just thought this was awful comedy. Really, really bad. Like WWE bad comedy.
It is very much in line with, I think, what Jericho has already established with Ricochet, in that feud. And that got over tremendously well. And I also feel like it came across a lot better as well. But the difference to me here is that this is not Ricochet, but Tommaso Ciampa, who I consider certainly a much more serious and darker in tone character. Even though he did the whole 104 moves thing, I still think he's a level above a Ricochet in terms of just seriousness. Certainly the presentation offers that. Certainly I think his pedigree from NXT offers that. And for him to essentially just kind of play this cartoon type of foil for Jericho to be like, don't you dare call me Tommy's mommy. I thought that was awful.
It extinguished all the heat of the attack and Ciampa's follow-up segments. It was Jericho's return. Now, I will say this. Jericho just does the 180 and gets all serious and says, the reason you hate me is because you're not me. And once I came back, you were no longer the big fish that had just arrived in AEW. And then he threatens to stick the stick up your ass even further as they come to blows at the end. And security runs down to separate them. I just thought the comedy was really ill-advised for this segment. It really took it down for me, and I thought I liked the angle and I liked Ciampa's stuff, and I just thought this took this into just I just felt like they had this cute idea and it overrode any kind of seriousness they tried to get back at the end.
I understand maybe lining out the segment and saying, hey, we're going to do this comedy bit, but then I'm going to flip it and I'm going to get serious, right? I get it. But I don't think enough was done on the serious side of things to overcome all the awful comedy that we saw at the beginning, especially from Ciampa, who really
I think play along with it. Like he had to feed the line of Tommy's mommy. It's it just made him look silly. It wasn't Jericho just fucking with him. It was Ciampa playing the geek as well.
But once Jericho got serious, I think Ciampa needed to come back also vocally with something that was also a lot more serious in tone. And instead, he just kind of ended the segment by throwing the first punch, which I don't think did enough to rehab him in this match. And hopefully, they listened to. I imagine, judging by our chat room, we aren't the only people who who felt this way. I hope they're able to take this in a much darker or serious direction following this. I also don't think there was enough justification to the reason for the feud's existence. I mean, Jericho brings up here, you thought you were the big fish until I showed up. Then you realize you aren't. And to me, Ciampa doesn't deny this, so we assume that is the reason why this feud is existing. But it's
a lot of people come to AEW since
there are
Ciampa
much bigger
debuted.
Stars. Yeah, there are a lot of bigger stars than Tommaso Ciampa. Anyway, it's just not enough of a personal reason for me to buy this feud existing. And I feel with the history that these two may share in the industry, I feel there's much more you could have mined, some sort of Ciampa obsession with Jericho from his past or something that could have felt a bit more meatier than this.
Suri, who flew all the way to Japan
from Japan,
all the way from Japan, with Takumi Iroha, who was, according to Suri, going to be her backup option in case she's not cleared, gets to the building, is not cleared, and I don't know if it was a case of maybe Suri just thought, well, hey, I brought someone else here. She's Japanese too. She can just be in my role. And Tony Khan was like, yeah, we've got our own plans. You're not booking this tournament.
Yeah, that it pretty much seems to be the case.
Which if I was Takumi Iroha, I would have said, hey, why did I do this flight? Number one, could we have not made sure your neck was in working order before this 13-hour flight? And number two, are you sure I need to come with you?
So what I'm taking this to mean is there's a different level of clearance to certainly in AEW compared to maybe I
think Tony Khan said in the video, her personal doctor cleared her in Japan, but they had more extensive, I don't know what the wording was, but more extensive testing at AEW. Listen, I'm not going to complain about this. It's listen, if your doctor's deemed her neck is you're not messing around with the neck, it's yeah, so be it. You flew all the way here. You're not putting her in there. And later, I mean, we would see a reason why they decided to use Maya World.
That could have been as big a reason as any why Takumi Iroha
I imagine it was probably the reason.
I also wonder if there are any issues involving visa clearances for somebody who isn't wasn't initially planned to work in the US. I'm just kind of throwing that out there as maybe
I mean, she got into the country, so
but not necessarily to work.
Well, I mean,
you can come on a vacation, but not to wrestle on television.
My understanding is the Border Patrol agents are very busy in the U.S. at the moment. I don't know if they have time to watch Dynamite on Wednesday nights and say, hey, wait a minute.
Mm-hmm. Support for this podcast comes from NordVPN. There is a lot of wrestling happening every week. And if you're a completist like we are at Post, then you probably know how expensive it can be juggling multiple streaming services just to keep up. In some parts of the world, things are set up pretty well. Regions where WWE lives on a single paid streaming service, others where AEW fans can get their weekly shows and pay-per-views bundled under one subscription. But when those fans travel abroad, they lose access to those fully featured versions of those services that they rely on at home. And that's where NordVPN comes in. No matter where you are, you can open the app on your phone, laptop, or Apple TV, connect to a server of your country's location, sign into your existing account, and keep up with your wrestling the way you do at home. John and I have been using Nord for over 3 years now, and it's become one of the most reliable, must-have tools in our wrestling consumption. It'll probably be for you as well. You can grab an exclusive NordVPN deal by going to our custom link, nordvpn.com/postwrestling. You'll get a big discount on any 2-year plan, plus 4 additional months on top. As always, it is completely risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. That's nordvpn.com/postwrestling. You can find all the information in the episode notes. Get your exclusive deal and let them know you found them through us.
Kevin Knight comes out with Don Callis. They're in the back with Renee. And then Andrade enters. Andrade is hounding Callis for a world title shot, but Knight tells him to get to the back of the line, and Knight calls himself the real champion and tells Andrade to watch how me and Don handle business. And Callis assures Andrade he will get his title shot. The first of several times he made this promise to Andrade, which I think this promise is going to fall flat.
Likely, yeah. And continues Andrade's sort of like new position as like the new Konosuke Takeshita, like the babyface within the group of heels who, we're supposed to kind of want to leave, the group.
Moxley and Shane Taylor are the first match of the show. Moxley wrestling in Cincinnati, and we've got a Battle of Ohio. It is Cincinnati versus Cleveland for the Continental Championship. They fought by the timekeeper's area, and Taylor put him through the table and takes over during picture-in-picture. There's a leg drop onto the edge as Moxley's head is underneath the ring skirt. Moxley gives him the finger, takes down Taylor with a clothesline, and after Taylor lands a splash off the second turnbuckle, Moxley then gets up, responds with a cutter, goes for an armbar, an ankle lock, and finally hits the stomp and puts him in the bulldog choke, tapping Shane Taylor at 13 minutes and 11 seconds. Afterward, we got Taylor drilling him with this right hand, and Carly Bravo hands Taylor a belt to whip and choke out Jon Moxley, prompting Daniel Garcia and Marina Shafir to get involved, and they're beaten up by Trish Adora and Dean and Bravo. So we have a Death Riders, Shane Taylor Promotions warfare that is going to bleed into Night 2, Cincinnati, Andrew J. Brady Center. Mm-hmm. It's Shane Taylor! You got to get that overmodulation in there.
You hit it. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought Shane Taylor looked pretty good here in this match. I really enjoy Shane Taylor. I think he's someone that has a very obvious, unique look, and everyone seems to amalgamate well to a Jon Moxley type of match. And I like this a lot. And you had even the line in there that, hey, this has been building on Collision. So it's like you can watch this in a vacuum and it's okay, it's Shane Taylor going for the title. But hey, if you're watching Collision, this did not just come out of nowhere either. Yeah.
I do think, though, like in these sort of builds, that are, especially for somebody like Shane Taylor, who has never had a singles match on Dynamite. Like they do deserve some form of catching up, on your Dynamite. Just even in like a minute, the 30-second type of like video package or something, or at least ideally the week prior on Dynamite, you would have maybe started this, or had Shane Taylor at least cut a promo or something to maybe give some, again, some level of preview or setup for the show that is watched by a much bigger audience. But here, though, it served as like a good Dynamite showcase for Shane Taylor, who I thought looked very unique here compared to maybe your field of, AEW wrestlers, where he had a combination of like big man offense with very legitimate looking striking. And they emphasized his boxing background throughout the match. So I thought he did a convincing job of like putting somebody like Jon Moxley on the back foot. In that sense, it felt very much like the Jon Moxley preference of match, where it involves somebody with like a shoot style background in Taylor's case boxing that he could like work with and sell for and just like have like a believable fight with. And I thought Taylor offered that. So again, I would have maybe had Taylor at least cut a promo maybe before this match, ideally the week before. But it's, I suppose, like a nice little addition to Dynamite from somebody who is usually in a faction that's usually on Collision.
Well, this week of all weeks, given how relatively well Collision did and how much I expect Dynamite to get killed, there is a chance more people are going to have watched Collision on Saturday than this Dynamite. It is possible.
You mean the last Collision?
This past Saturday's Collision.
Because the one coming up on Saturday will be up against Game 5.
Oh, no one's watching this Saturday, so no one will see the follow-up to
this. Next one, 107 to 106.
Oh, well, congratulations. So it is now 3-1. So the Spurs are facing elimination on Saturday, and they will be going up against the Street Fight.
The Summer Blockbuster.
The Summer Blockbuster. I don't know how many people are going to be coming back for the second Blockbuster of the week. Mercedes Moné video. she talks about her accomplishments and how people celebrated her downfall, and she's been watching this division lose its power over the past 6 months, people trying to fill her shoes and fail. No one is going to take this Owen Hart Cup away from her. It's her only belt she has left, and she faces Hazuki next Wednesday because she doesn't want to go against the basketball game either.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, again, maybe more of a sense of like her character. She's still coming back pretty much as essentially the same heel, just somebody who maybe is a little bit more angry just after the belt losses.
Don Callis brought out Kevin Knight. They insult Cincinnati, and Kevin Knight says that they should be upset at Darby for letting them all down and for Speedball breaking up Jet Speed. And he says that all the bums in the back are wrestling for stars, and he is linking up with Don Callis to become Jet 2 belts. And he calls out MJF, but instead Darby's music plays, and we get a surprise return of Darby attacking him with the skateboard and tells him he hopes it was worth it in New York, and gets chased away by the Don Callis family, and he runs right out of the building.
Well, he's not about to face 30 guys by himself.
No. So
he's only got a skateboard.
Yes.
Yeah.
This will all come together. I'm imagining this guy is going to be in this big cage match that we're building toward.
Okay. Door. You think so? Yeah, I guess because Kevin Knight's going to be in it. So yeah,
I think this is going to be our all-star steel cage 6-on-6 with all your main eventers.
I thought though there were enough people in the conglomeration, but that's only how many guys? 1, 2, 3. Conglomeration is only what, 3, 4 guys?
I don't know.
Ishii's 5, so I guess Darby would be 6.
They called this cage match the main event of Forbidden Door.
Yeah.
And I could see Ishii being in it for the obvious Forbidden Door reasons, but I don't know if Roderick Strong's
That's barely a Forbidden Door. He's a full-time guy. You don't think Strong's
is he full-time anywhere?
He's full-time
Mark
everywhere.
might be like, listen, my title shot's at stake here. I need the A-team guys. And Roderick, I'm sorry, man. You can do our promos leading up to it and just scream people's names. So there goes Darby.
He'd be on my A-team. Come on. I would have Strong and O'Reilly. Yeah.
Okay.
No? Okay. Well, let's talk about that segment right now, shouldn't we?
Which segment?
Mark Briscoe. The setup for the match.
Well, that comes after this match. So let's just go through Briscoe and Pac here. So Briscoe is seen speaking with Tony Khan, and Tony Khan just says, "It's a good plan. It's a good plan." And out comes Briscoe. Nice match here with Pac. Hits the cactus elbow off the apron, and then Pac just responds by putting him through a chair with a brain buster. Not to take Mark Briscoe out for 6 months, but rather to go to picture-in-picture.
These picture-in-picture commercial break spots are often bigger than the finish.
This was insane. This brain buster, this was just to get us to the commercial. And he comes back. He goes for a vertical to Pac, and both go off the top. Tries for Froggy Bow, lands on the knees, and then after Pac belly to bellies him, he climbs to the top, shooting star, lands on the knees, and Mark wins with the J Driller in 12 minutes and 12 seconds. It was a fine match, but this is one that I just thought struggled with the crowd overall.
Technically, I felt it was perfect, but it's a match that kind of lacks drama due to the non-stakes involved here, or really any sort of feud involved. The Death Riders and Conglomeration aren't really going through anything. This was just a match against a tough opponent for Mark Briscoe to show that he deserves a title shot.
Dude, look at this photo of Pac. Look at that arm that we're looking at here. This just looks like a man that, this looks like I'm looking at a comic book or something.
I mean, that's sort of what a wrestler's
Mark Briscoe looks very lifelike. I mean, Pac looks lifelike. It's just,
well, one is supposed to be relatable. The other is maybe more unattainable, and therefore, I don't know. You're
doubting that Pac is attainable.
That body shape, yeah, probably quite unattainable in my lifetime. Yeah.
Okay. So Briscoe gets on the mic. He calls out MJF and states, "I have a direct path to the title." And so MJF's music plays as we go to commercial break. And we come back, and MJF has made his way into the crowd. and is once again denying Briscoe a title shot, stating a rising tide lifts all ships and he is the rising tide of this company. If you came near this title, you would be an anchor. I'm protecting this belt from Mark Briscoe. And your friends, having friends like the conglomeration are stupid. They're a liability, whereas I have money and money talks. And what did MJF spend his money on? This would be about as stupid of an investment as buying one of those UFC 250 coins that they are shilling for people. Yeah, you can buy $250 coins. He has hired the Lethal Twist, Jay Lethal, Blake Christian, and Lee Johnson, who attack the conglomeration, come out, including Tom, and they are fought off. Something tells me the Lethal Twist are not going to make it into this cage match.
I was going to say, yeah, are the Lethal Twist part of the MJF's cage match?
He didn't even approach these guys with the idea of offering them a spot when he needed some friends. He's just like, no, they're not going to make it.
I'm sure it'll be a nice collision match that they're setting up, though.
Sure. Briscoe calls Max an asshole and states he spoke to the real boss, Tony Khan, who has made a 6-on-6 steel cage match at Forbidden Door, where if Briscoe's team wins, he gets his title shot. And MJF freaks out about this, and Andrade walks out, has a face-to-face with Max, and then proceeds to the ring for his match with Orange Cassidy. So, and they did refer to this as the main event.
Briscoe did. Briscoe did. Briscoe says Tony needs a main event at Forbidden Door, and line out the match.
And follows what they did last year with the lights out steel cage match.
I guess you're right. Yeah. But that one felt a lot meatier in terms of just like the feud here. This does not feel like it's a main event type of story, or even like feud, that's going on here between.
Well, not if it's the conglomeration and Darby. That's why I think they're going to step.
Well, of course would it be? He's in the ring with the conglomeration. So why wouldn't he invite his own team? Right?
I'm just saying. The Don Callis family against the conglomeration is not headlining a pay-per-view.
Well, that's certainly the indicator that you're left with here. Unless somebody takes out the conglomeration, I suppose.
That would make sense.
That would make sense.
You would start to pick apart Mark's friends, and Mark has to get desperate and find other people.
Yeah. And like you have some A-listers in the Don Callis family that I think would
this will get Knight. Like you can do like Knight, Okada.
I think should be
Andrade should definitely be in there. You can get Takeshita onto Mark's side.
Yes,
like they can load this up, and I think they will. I don't think this is going to be the lineup as visually presented.
So are we saying, sorry, Kyle O'Reilly? Maybe Orange Cassidy might have a spot, but sorry, Roderick Strong. You might get attacked.
I think there's going to be some parking lot injuries coming.
You might get Angelo Dawkins in the next few weeks.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
That's the likelihood here. Assuming you're getting this Mark Briscoe title shot, do you just imagine that would have to be TV, right?
It would have to be TV given like Redemption. I think that should to me, it feels reserved for Kenny Omega. So it feels like a lot of build for a TV title match, but I mean, that's not unlike Tony's booking.
No, I was looking at the calendar. They've got 2 nights in Boston. Tony has put some big matches in, just
this Andrade one is another big one.
I would save that for Arena Mexico.
Sure, yeah.
And that's not that far away. August 5th, you can definitely hold this one off for 2 months, I think, until you get to an Andrade. That would be a great place to do it. So Andrade and Orange Cassidy, again, like the last match, it was good technically, but I thought this one it was 15 minutes with this crowd. They really enjoyed this spot at the beginning where Andrade, he takes off his pants and let's just say Andrade was not leaving. He seemed really excited for this match. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I wasn't looking so closely, but all right.
So then Orange Cassidy he has tearaway jeans with another pair underneath, and this actually awoke this crowd for this spot. Dude, it was
amazing. Just imagine the tailor that had to make these custom snap-on jeggings for Orange Cassidy.
They should be selling an Orange Cassidy like fall line of like the t-shirt he just put out with tearaway jeans.
I think
$100.
That would probably take them like another 2 years. I believe they just got the mini Monet dolls for sale. After
great timing, really
like
great timing.
2 years after like the stories ended.
It's a year and a half ago they did that. So anyway, that's well, look out for these probably by after the next presidential administration is over. So they do the hands in the pockets with Cassidy going on offense. Three Amigos gets turned into a stun dog, and then Callis gets involved, raking the eyes of Orange Cassidy. And as Andrade goes for a selfie, Lio Rush appears, and he wants a selfie with Andrade. Dude, I love when this guy pops up on my television set. Like, it can be in any context, at any place. I find this man so incredibly entertaining. His facial reactions, you've got Andrade saying, "How you know?" He knows. He knows. It's fine.
Yeah.
I just find this so funny.
I think they have a chance to do with Lio Rush what they missed the boat on with Danhausen, and that WWE has taken great advantage of. Like, what Rush has created now to me is on like a timeless Tony Storm level of like character transformation. And not to say like Lio Rush would dominate the division the way Tony Storm has the women's division, but like there's so much more I think you could do with him. And it seems like I'm inspired by the fact that like Tony has pretty much given him pretty frequent appearances on Dynamite. Yes, it's in these cameo positions, but like I think he certainly sees the appeal, you could say.
I think the next step is he's got to be someone's like sidekick, or it struck me with like the way they played him off with Lashley at Stadium Stampede. Like, just he should be attached with someone who gets to play the straight man, so he can just be his character, and then you can do a lot more. Just you can do fun stuff with him. That I think that's just pair somebody with him. Yeah,
I saw a video of him. So there's like this place called the Squared Circle Cafe, which is like some sort of restaurant that's like wrestling themed, and they had Lio Rush like carry the food out of the diner in character, or out of the kitchen in character. Like shit. Perfect. Like that is great, So I mean, he's got a thing going on with like Orange Cassidy being scared of him, which is hilarious. I want to see something like further with like the Hurt Syndicate. There's a lot of fun you could have with it.
So both are down in the ring, and Cassidy hits a diving DDT onto the stage, another in the ring, and sets up for the orange punch, but is caught with a spinning elbow and the DM. 15 minutes, 17 seconds, and Andrade asks the crowd, "How you know?"
Yeah, really, really setting up this, this new catchphrase of his. Other than like opposing a babyface like Orange Cassidy, I mean, the babyface push for Andrade really does seem to continue, and I think he's great. But to me, the bigger standard is Orange Cassidy, who continues to be like just so consistent at this level, like with every single one of his performances. And I feel like he's pretty much like, slotted in this upper mid card slot. But I really do feel like it's only a matter of time before like the audience will really want to see him get something more. And I think there's a lot of like mileage out of like promoting Orange Cassidy actually becoming an AEW champion at some point.
They showed Will Ospreay after his match with Mark Davis giving comments last week where he was selling the beating that Mark Davis gave him and that nothing is stopping him from going to Wembley at All In and becoming champion, and says that I do owe something to the Death Riders. And then in comes Alex Windsor, who is weeping as she hugs him, and then Ospreay just pans the camera away from the two of them.
Yeah.
And that was their go-home angle for their wedding this weekend.
Which I don't think will be televised, but, So I thought this was really interesting. I mean, because, they had to structure the card last week to have Windsor's match take place right before Ospreay's match, right? Mm-hmm. Windsor, of course, wrestled Mercedes Moné, failed to go forward in the Owen, while Ospreay did. But to have both of those take place after one another allowed you to have this moment where you can have, on the one hand, the husband celebrating a victory while trying to console his wife who just had her heart broken, not being able to headline Wembley the way her husband has. I mean, their dream probably was to, in story, their dream is probably to headline the show together. Because who knows when the next Wembley AEW show will be. And her dream failed while his dream continues, right? So I love that contrast, and it required a lot of structuring of the show in order to even just lead up to this moment. So I'm very curious to see where Alex Windsor goes after this loss.
They had this great video on Tekla and all of her attacks on Taro Okada and how she is declaring death to Stardom. I know it's not happening, but this would be the main event of Forbidden Door if they just went all the way with this.
Sorry, somebody made the scratch check of the action of the Tekla Taro Okada.
They have built this better than pretty much all their mid-card feuds. They have done a better job of this. Like they've literally brought this up almost every time Tekla would show up. It was like she got fired for attacking the president of Stardom. Like pretty much from the get-go, they have planted this seed. And now it's like we're getting the footage. Like it demands some interaction with these two at Forbidden Door.
Oh, of course, it's exactly what it is. And like, here's an example. Like, nobody prior to this feud, at least like very few people, I think, watching AEW knew who Taro Okada was. But just, I think, through these promos, through the video package, you have enough to just get people involved so that by the time you actually get to the spot at the pay-per-view, I think people will be invested. So, what do you think will be the sort of defender of Stardom?
I don't know who it's going to be, but I just imagine it's going to be Taro Okada bringing a representative, and he'll be in the corner or something.
Who would be
like
a representative of Stardom that you think would get the crowd cheering for that representative against Tekla? You know, I get Maki Ito is a name that you've thrown out that I think could at least elicit that reaction.
Yeah, like I think for your audience, I think they would love to see an Utami, but I think Maki Ito would be the one that would be your sacrificial lamb, which is what the role kind of calls for. That I don't think you necessarily put an Utami in that type of a role, but yeah, Maki Ito, and the fact that she made such a big deal about the idols that she wants to kill.
Yeah, I don't know. Maki Ito's going to win that one. I don't think anybody winning is going to.
Beat the Tekla, person shouldn't be winning either.
So I feel like that would be an expendable person who could take a loss and not really harm Stardom at all, as opposed to Saya Kamatani coming in, for instance.
Right. We should mention the fact that they have announced that 4 women from Stardom are being sent over, including Hazuki, which presumably means she's going to be sticking around here. Shuri, who was involved with AEW and ROH last year, but then went back to Japan, Fuwa-chan, and Rani Yagami as well. I'm assuming they're all going to be in and around AEW and ROH. So I mean,
they're also doing on Global Wars,
right? Yes, which was going
Ring of
on tonight, weren't they?
Yeah,
yeah,
I believe so. Yeah,
so they'll presumably be around in the summer. And you would think for sure that they'll be involved in some way on Forbidden Door, even if it's just undercard matches.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah.
The Death Riders cut a promo backstage. Moxley is selling the choking from the belt and can barely speak. That part was a nice detail. And so Garcia sets up a 5-on-5 street fight, including the women, with Marina and Trish Adora. And they're going to send Shane Taylor to hell.
I'm looking forward to these. I think anytime these multi-man street fights have occurred, especially with a group like the Death Riders, I think you're looking at something that feels quite special. And for Shane Taylor Promotions, this is by far the biggest spotlight that group has had, at least, in an active feud. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to this.
Then we had Sky Blue and Maya World for the Owen Hart quarterfinal match, and the winner will face Athena. And we get Renee at ringside explaining that earlier this week, Maya World lost her younger brother, Jatwan Wilson. Unexpectedly, they didn't state what. Wei has pulled this up here, so maybe there are some more details. But yeah,
listed in the actual description.
Okay.
No cause of death explained. I did see somebody say write something on Reddit, but it's not something
right. Okay. But they have set up a GoFundMe. So yeah, she lost her brother, and it makes you wonder. Was she?
Sorry, go ahead. Yeah,
I was just gonna say it makes you wonder. Did she just come to TV? And because it's not like they knew this match was happening probably this morning. Like it's only once
I'm feeling like she was asked, or maybe anyway. I would think the invite was given to her to come to work, or at least maybe she might have requested. People cope with like tragedy in different ways, and one of those
we don't know. I'm just saying, like, I'd be curious when they decided that, or when they knew Sari was not going to be wrestling.
Sure. In any case, like, I mean, clearly, she wanted this, right? My World was open to doing this, and hopefully this provided some level of, I want to say like, well, I want to say comfort. I want to say like, maybe escape, from the tragedy for at least a few hours, that she could put all her heart into like, doing this match. And just given all the circumstances, you could of course understand why she was given this spot as opposed to, like anybody else.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say is that you're watching this at home, and it's like this just like shocking like set of circumstances, and I don't think anyone in the arena would have known what they were watching, like the context of it. It's not like they can hear Renee explain this, so they're just watching a cold match. And that's kind of how they treated it. But you, the viewer, were probably way more like invested in this, because you've heard like this, just like really just is like this shocking statement by Renee. I had to rewind it. I was like, because it's like I'm half typing, half paying attention.
Yeah, but it's also tricky because it's not the type of thing you want.
I know.
You don't want to, be exploitive, right? So I don't know how they would have handled it, but like again,
it's a tricky situation.
So
I understand that.
Just a note: the GoFundMe for Jertwan Wilson for funeral costs currently at 18,241. As we type this, among the people who have donated are Tony Khan, that we could see, Will Ospreay, Bailey, Renee Young, and Hobbs, Powerhouse Hobbs, actually. Let's see.
Yeah. Oh, obviously condolences to their entire family. It was very sad set of circumstances. But the match, so we saw Maya drop kicker out of the corner, and then there's a rolling double stomp by Maya. She did this bridging German, and then Blue hits a Liger bomb out of the corner, getting a 2 count. Maya did this cool bridging fall-away slam, and then after a TKO, kicks out, and Blue sets up for the code blue, and it's countered into a bridging jackknife cover, and Maya wins this, and it's like this was just like a shock to the crowd in 11 minutes and 21 seconds, because they probably had like just no thought here. Like you, the viewer at home, were like, there was no way she could lose this match. But if you were just watching this and didn't understand, you would have probably thought, well, Saria's can't wrestle. We know that. And Skye Blue's just going to automatically win this match. And so it like really surprised the crowd. You could tell from the ending here.
The upset still certainly got me, because like I guess I wasn't thinking so much about the brackets and thinking, okay, so Ray was probably going to win this anyway. But I was just maybe more so just thinking, okay, they would put Skye Blue, against Athena perhaps. But in either case, of course it makes sense. Like she's unlikely to beat Athena, I think we could say, in the next round. But as far as her performance goes, like I mean, I thought she looked good, like especially those suplexes and pitting combos. So especially like, given everything, like a lot of credit to her for pulling out the performance she did here. A lot of credit to Skye Blue for leading the match, I felt. I'm like, she was given a ton of responsibility here as well.
Then a video airs.
Let me just also say, this was also one of those cases where like I felt very clearly the show might have been running low on time, because I would have so much lingered on Maya World a lot longer before cutting to your next thing on the show. They just like, Maya World gets this like big upset win. She won, biggest win of her life, like especially given all the circumstance. Let it breathe, right? But they just went right to the next thing. So I would imagine maybe they were running late or something, because otherwise, like this is something massive. They should have let breathe a little more.
Yeah, it's very tricky of how you sort of balance this. It's like this awful, tragedy that occurs, but at the same time, like if you like, I think if handled well, like this Athena match with Maya World, which they haven't announced for next week, so it could be like you have 2 weeks until you do that match, and you could really set this up like this huge upset. you don't even have to necessarily everyone knows what the story is now. It's not like you have to repeat that and make it feel like icky that you're, hitting people over the head with that. They already know that aspect, but you build up this big upset and tell her story next week in terms of like who this is. And this is the biggest match of her life against Athena. And even in losing, it's a bigger match now because of this upset win.
Yeah, we'll see, man. Well, yeah, like you said, it's tricky. Like we'll see what she's comfortable with. I imagine it's still like this has got to be so difficult for her, just yeah. So, any further idea about what the finals may be on the women's side of things? So we got Monet versus Hazuki next week on Dynamite, and then Athena versus Maya World.
I mean, I unless they just feel like this Maya World thing is something they just want to go all with, I'd be pretty stunned if it's not Athena and Mercedes in the final. That would be my thought.
Yeah, unless Monet gets screwed somehow. But yeah, no, it's got to be Monet.
To set up the Wembley show, I just that's what I think most assume the final will be. And then we get our video with Zack Sabre Jr., who he's been busy doing some editing, and he had some footage of Nigel beating him at Forbidden Door last year and says, this year I want to face the best. And there we get shots of Kenny Omega. And the words that I think we now officially have the slogan for this match. What's the frequency, Kenneth? It's like, this guy is such a geek. I love it.
Love it.
And he asks, Kenny, do you still think you're the best, dickhead? And they fucking censored dickhead.
You can't say that.
These soy boys.
On HBO.
Yeah, apparently not. We can say shit on this show. I think they've dropped F-bombs on this show. We can carve up dudes with glass, but dickhead, that's a step too far. And we come back. Excalibur explains Kenny already knew this challenge was going to be made, and he has accepted it. So someone tipped him off in advance of this video airing. Now, I'm just going to say that I understand you want to program this to your AEW audience, but if you flip the script and this was Sunday and Zack finishes his match and it was Kenny's video, that place would have roared in Osaka.
We were discussing what's the big surprise element of Dominion. I mean, wouldn't this be perfect?
Announcing this, this would have gotten a crazy reaction on Sunday. And you don't even have to fly Kenny there. Like just doing a video like Zack had done, that's what I immediately thought is they would have lost their minds for this announcement on Sunday.
But I would suggest, like, now that you do have the announcement, and you would argue this is a AEW show, so it should probably be announced for AEW. But to have Kenny appear on Dominion, I think would be massive for like a New Japan show to just again have another surprise element from a bigger star, and then it would be in promotion of the
What if
event.
Kenny got invited to the wedding though? Do you think he would get invited?
Bail. He'd have to deny.
I guess Zack didn't get invited to the wedding.
Wrestlers have busy schedules. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I wonder who would be invited. But I wonder if we do see Kenny Omega in Japan on Dominion.
It's possible. You could do an angle there.
I think any excuse to go to Japan, I feel like Kenny Omega would welcome if he's not already there.
Well, he's not going there tomorrow because tomorrow night is the Collision tapings and Kenny Omega will wrestle on Collision. We should mention that this is only going to be Omega and Zack's second singles match. They had a G1 match in 2018. So they were saying this is our first match in the US.
Okay. So, it's awesome. It's great. It's it's the type of match that I don't think you really need any sort of build for. Their names and just the marquee itself is enough. And I'm really glad we're finally getting still the special attraction Forbidden Door type of match with something that feels like it's a proper interpromotional bout.
And as a warm up, we're gonna get Kenny Omega and Bad Dude Tito.
You know what? They really should have thought about flipping this and saving this one for Forbidden Door. But no, good for Bad Dude Tito to get a spot on Collision, at least.
I want to see Kenny come out and do 18 minutes with Bad Dude Tito.
Well, it's unlikely to be sub 5. I think it'll be at
it
least
could
10.
be sub 5.
I don't
Kenny
know.
these days, I mean, he's going to be saving.
We're talking about Alan Angels, versus Kenny Omega type of Kenny Omega here. I think this might be at least 10.
So Collision's got that, the street fight, the Dogs against the Young Bucks, and then Julia Hart against Persephone in a survival of the fittest qualifying match. So that's a very good lineup so far.
They're doing to the Dogs and Bucks just straight up.
Yeah.
Already. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's a very good lineup for Collision. I would argue they might have a better lineup than tonight's show.
Yeah. Too bad they got this basketball game to oppose.
Well, 2 screens.
Yeah. That's right.
Way's going to be doing his tape study before UFC Freedom 250. MJF approaches the Don Callis family, explains, there's this cage match at Forbidden Door. I need 5 of your guys, Don. And Don is just insulted. He's like, I'm not just some pimp. You come here and you want some of my guys. And then MJF offers him money. And he's like, okay, sounds good. Take whoever you want. Kevin Knight volunteers, but says, if we win, I get a title shot afterwards. And MJF agrees, but if their team loses, Kevin Knight does not get a title match. So
okay, so the story is no matter what happens, there will be MJF's next opponent.
Yeah, it's like he doesn't want to face Mark Briscoe, but he's willing to face Kevin Knight, the guy who did in fact beat him. But I guess Mark Briscoe's beaten him as well.
He hates Mark Briscoe so much he would rather face Kevin Knight.
He sees more
marketability,
quarter hour potential with a Kevin Knight to carry this company. So yeah, I imagine like this side we probably get Knight, Okada, Andrade, and Jake Doyle, right?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
You know, it would be actually great.
Mark Davis should get the spot.
You know who should get the 6th spot?
Who?
MJF finds out that just cleared Wardlow. His secret weapon is back.
Okay.
That'd be great.
Sure.
Swerve Strickland. Oh, and at the end, Andrade asks Callis about his title shot. Callis gives him his word that he will get that title shot. So last match of the night is Swerve Strickland and Brody King. And this one the crowd did get into because we had what better function does Ice serve than to pick up dead crowds at the end of a Dynamite?
Yeah, absolutely.
Nana blocks King from hitting a cannonball on the floor, so he takes a swerve stomp off the apron, and then the turnbuckle pad is ripped off, and King catches Swerve, drops him onto the desk. MJF is seen watching in the back, and King gets knocked into the exposed buckle, and thus he is busted open here, and this guy was leaking some blood. There's a house call, but King won't go down, so Swerve does the house call off the top, only gets a 2 count, and King comes back, DVD, sending Swerve into the exposed buckle, and hits a cannonball and a pile driver. The whole crowd is chanting AEW, and Swerve stops the Gonzo bomb attempt, sends Brody into the rope, so Aubrey flees, turning her back, and Nana nails Brody King. Did you catch what he used? He hit him with something.
Nana hits Brody. No,
he hit him with some weapon. Yeah. So Brody gets hit with the weapon into the vertebreaker, and Swerve wins at the end. A very good match that they had at the end of the show, and Swerve will take on Will Ospreay in the final at Forbidden Door.
Yeah, which is a massive match, right? But
they're promoting this as a triple main event for Forbidden Door with the 2 Owen matches and the cage.
You also have MJF, Kenny versus Ospreay. That it feels big.
Or Kenny and Zach.
Sorry, Kenny and Zach, yeah. I thought this was a very good, semifinal match, although I don't think anywhere near last week's in terms of, like, just effect. And also, my interest going in, because I thought the last one was set up with, Davis beating Ospreay. This is really not being set up by that. Swerve beat Brody King already, so I don't think there's that much drama, nor is he necessarily even like the Bandito element of it all isn't really all that strong either. So to me, it just felt like a real foregone conclusion. I also think, like, in the case of both Brody and Davis, I think they could have done a lot more to improve their believability in winning these tournaments by having them at least talk a little bit about just, like wanting to headline Wembley or something like that, as hard as it is going to believe.
What if the star key on your keyboard gets jammed? How many stars would this one end up being?
5 3/4.
Yeah. I thought this match was the strongest on the show. I was lukewarm on this episode as a whole. I thought the crowd was not as engaged. I would say, the wrestling was at a good level, but it did feel like a show that was missing the usual Dynamite spark that is usually there. I don't know. There was something missing on this show overall for me.
Yeah, I mean, it could have simply been maybe, hotter, more sustained crowd. I mean, I find pretty much every Dynamite enjoyable, or at least offering something, compelling. And I thought the show did. That said, I was not a big fan of the Ciampa Jericho segment. No. I thought Moxley Taylor, went well. I think they laid the foundation for, certainly what might be the main event of Forbidden Door with that cage match. And we await to see who else will be a part of it. And then the whole Maya World, part of this I thought was a pretty significant part of the show as well. Yeah.
Yes. All right. Well, everybody, there you go. Those were our thoughts on Dynamite. Again, we are back on Thursday with the ASK-A-WAI Mailbag show. You still have some time to get in your questions at forum.postwrestling.com, although this mailbag is overflowing. So you can do that before Thursday morning. And then Friday, I should say Thursday night, I'll be with Brandon Thurston. We will be live at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. We'll talk the fallout of the shareholder trial that wasn't. We'll be going more into Janelle Grant's posts. We're going to talk about the latest on AEW v. Ryan Nemeth. I know that's a case that Way is very in tuned with. We'll be talking about that, and maybe even some UFC Freedom 250 lawsuit news as well. I mean, what better way to spend your Thursday night?
I honestly don't know how you guys go through some of this legalese to write these summaries in digestible form, for our website. So a lot of credit to you guys. I don't know how you do it.
Well, we try our best. Friday, we've got Spider-Noir as Rich and WH conclude their reviews of episodes 5 through 8 of the new Nicolas Cage series that is on Prime. Is it on?
Correct.
Yep, Prime. Way will be with Neil Friday night for Rewind-A-SmackDown. And then we've got Collision Course with Kate from Montreal and Jay Lacey. And Sunday, a Dominion review with Bruce Lord and Karen Peterson. So looking forward to all of that. And again, a UFC Freedom 250 review on the Café Monday for all of our patrons. Myself, Neil Flanagan, Jack Wannon. Way, you can always just drop in if you are so inclined.
I will be listening, but thank you for the invite.
Okay. It's a normal Raw on Monday, correct? Not an afternoon one. Baltimore.
Okay.
Yes. All right. Goodbye, everybody on the YouTube channel. Hit subscribe on your way out of here because we're now moving to forum.postwrestling.com.